Bello! Today, our favorite little yellow buddies, Kevin, Stuart, and Bob, are going on a big adventure. But first, they have to pack. Easy, right? Let's see. Kevin, being the responsible one, brings out a giant, super-sized suitcase. It's almost bigger than him. What could possibly go wrong with packing a suitcase? Stuart, ever the rock star, strolls in with his ukulele. He tries to gently place it inside, but Bob, with a giant armful of bananas, trips right over it. Bananas go flying everywhere. They're slipping and sliding, and the suitcase is already a banana mash mess. Will they ever get a single thing packed? Kevin facepalms, trying to clean up. But then, a mischievous idea sparks in his eye. He grabs one of Gru's old inventions, a shrink ray. He aims it at a mountain of clothes. Zap! The clothes shrink down to the size of doll clothes. Perfect! He tosses them into the suitcase. But what happens when they try to shrink something else? Stuart sees the shrink ray and gets a brilliant, not-so-brilliant idea. He points it at his ukulele. Zap! It shrinks down to the size of his thumb. He tries to play a power chord, but it just goes asterisk, tink, 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 asterisk. He looks so sad. Bob gives him a tiny banana to cheer him up. Is their vacation gear completely ruined? Suddenly, Bob, holding the shrink ray upside down, accidentally pulls the trigger. A blue beam shoots out and hits the suitcase. Instead of shrinking, the suitcase starts to grow. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger until it fills up half the lab. The lid pops open like a giant monster's mouth. Will the giant suitcase swallow them whole? The three minions look up at the colossal suitcase with wide eyes. Kevin, ever the leader, decides they must fill it. They start a frantic relay race, tossing in everything they can find. A rubber chicken, a rocket launcher, a fart gun, a dozen more bananas, and even one of Dr. Nefario's spare robotic arms. But what strange object will they throw in next? Stuart grabs a hose, thinking they might need it for a water park. He shoves one end into the suitcase. But oops, he trips on the nozzle and turns it on full blast. Water starts gushing into the giant suitcase like a waterfall. It's turning into a massive, yellow swimming pool. Can they stop the lab from flooding? Bob, thinking it's a pool party, cannonballs right into the watery suitcase with a loud splash. He starts doing the backstroke, spitting water like a fountain. Stuart, not wanting to miss out, grabs an inflatable flamingo and jumps into strumming his tiny ukulele. But a new danger is lurking deep inside the suitcase. Kevin, panicking, tries to turn off the water. But as he fumbles with the hose, he accidentally knocks in another one of Gru's inventions. A growth ray! The beam hits a rubber ducky floating in the water. The ducky starts to grow and grow and grow. It becomes a gigantic, squeaky leviathan. Will the giant ducky escape the lab? The colossal rubber ducky fills the entire suitcase. Its giant head peeking over the top, it lets out a deafening squeak that shakes the whole room. Bob and Stuart are now riding on the back of this massive yellow monster, cheering King Bob, as it bobs up and down. But the suitcase is starting to shake violently. Kevin finally manages to turn off the water, but it's too late. The sheer weight of the giant ducky and all the water is too much for the suitcase. The hinges groan. The latches start to pop open, one by one. Asterisk ping! Pop! Bang! Asterisk, the whole thing is about to burst. What crazy explosion is about to happen? With a final, tremendous crack, the suitcase explodes. A tidal wave of water, bananas, shrunken clothes, and random gadgets washes over the entire lab. The giant rubber ducky is sent flying through the air in slow motion, landing perfectly upright in the middle of the room with a final, victorious squeak. Is anyone buried under all that junk? As the water settles, we see our three heroes. Bob is wearing a teapot for a hat. Stuart has a sock puppet on his hand. And Kevin is tangled up in the hose, looking completely defeated. The lab is a total disaster! The giant ducky sits there, squeaking happily. But they forgot one very important thing. Suddenly, Gru walks into the lab. He stops dead in his tracks, his eyes wide with disbelief. He looks at the flood, the giant ducky, the banana peels everywhere, and the three guilty-looking minions. He just stares, not saying a word. The minions give him a tiny, nervous wave. What will Gru do to them now? Gru looks at the chaos, then at the minions, then back at the giant ducky. A slow smile spreads across his face. He walks over, pats the giant ducky's head, and says, "Girls, I found you a new pool toy." Lucy and the girls run in, their eyes lighting up at the sight of the giant duck. So, did their Pocket adventure have a happy ending? The girls cheer and immediately start planning a pool party with the giant duck. Gru looks at Kevin, Stuart, and Bob, who are still dripping wet. He shakes his head, still smiling, and says, "Come on, you three. Let's just order pizza for our vacation." But what about their next crazy adventure? The minions cheer. No packin', just pizza! They hug Gru's legs and start chanting pizza, pizza. Their trip might not have started as planned, but it ended with a giant rubber ducky and the promise of pizza. And for a minion, that's the best adventure of all. What will these silly minions get up to next time? Stay tuned to find out. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more Minion Mayhem. Bye-bye.